Well, happy Friday, everyone. I know this is most of our favorite day of the week, so congratulations, you made it to Friday. So about 3 weeks ago, I got on Snapchat. Now, some of you might be on Snapchat, some of you might not be on Snapchat. I really didn't know what Snapchat was. For the longest time, I didn't get on Snapchat because I didn't see the value of Snapchat. And then I had some friends of mine show me what Snapchat was and how it operated, and how it has a unique feature called stories. And what's really cool about this, when it comes to other social media, and I'm going somewhere with this, by the way, when it comes to other social media platforms, the stuff you post stays up there forever unless you delete it. But with Snapchat, you can post something to your quote story, and it will stay there for 24 hours and then just disappear. So you can put just goofy, stupid stuff that you don't really have to, hope it looks really good or hope it looks awesome. Hope in 10 years, like, your kids like that picture of themselves, like, you don't have to worry about that. You can just throw stuff up and 24 hours later it's gone. And honestly, when I started using it, I was like, this is a really cool feature. And remember, this was only like 3 weeks ago. Well, I got on Instagram. I guess it was yesterday, and I noticed there was a new Instagram feature, which is one of the big four social media platforms. There's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. In my opinion, I don't know, there might be more. I'm not a tech expert. But I got on Instagram, and all of a sudden I noticed this feature at the top of the Instagram page, and it was Instagram stories. So all of a sudden, my favorite feature from Snapchat is now on Instagram. You post a picture, it stays up there for 24 hours, and it disappears. And a lot of the same features. Now, they're not exactly the same. You don't have to tell me how they're different. I get that they're not the same. But what I'm getting at with all of this is that if you've watched the evolution of the way that we use social media, and many of you might, because you might be watching this on a Facebook Live post anyway, you'll notice that, like, social media, the features, they change and they start to mirror each other. So, like, Facebook will see that, Twitter is being successful with this thing, so they'll incorporate that into their platform, and all of a sudden, and I remember one day, I got on Instagram, and all of a sudden I realized I could throw an Instagram picture up on Facebook and up on Twitter, and they're all connected, and I'm just like, what's going on? And so what makes these platforms so unique sometimes gets erased because other platforms adapt and absorb what makes the first platform unique, in the same way that Snapchat was unique for stories. Well, now Instagram has that, so it's not as unique. Here's where I'm going with all this. I started thinking about that and how in the world there's so many different things like that, where there's people who are copying and trying to take what's successful about one thing, and things don't look as unique because so many people are doing the same thing. And I started thinking about the church and what makes the church unique. Why is the church a unique entity across organizations in the world? What makes us as the people of God? And when I say church, I don't mean like the building you went to on Sunday. I don't mean like the bricks and mortar. I mean the people, because the word church literally means the people of God in the Greek. Not that I'm a Greek scholar. But my point that I'm trying to make is there's something about the church, the people of God, that I believe makes us unique. And I don't believe that this is like we're the only people who can do this, but I think when you look at the church, this is what you should consistently see that makes us unique, decade after decade, century after century, millennia after millennia, because we live in a world of imitators and people are always adapting, other people's stuff. What makes the church so unique? Well, Jesus helps us with this in John chapter 13. In John chapter 13, verses 34 and 35, I'm just going to read it to you. These are the words of Jesus. He says, "A new commandment I give to you." Now let's call a quick time out. That's a big deal. Like, Jesus has given us a new commandment. Like God in the flesh, who gave us the 10 commandments that we uphold as a really big deal. Rightfully so. He's giving us a new commandment. He says that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. And then look at this, verse 35. "By this all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." I believe when I read that is a picture of one of the things that makes the church unique. Because as the church, we are called to love one another. Now, I believe that people within the church, and even people who aren't Christians, can love each other, and I believe that organizations can create a loving culture. But decade after decade, millennia after millennia, Century after century, the church has been called to love one another. And that's how we'll stand out. The consistent love for one another over and over and over again. As the years pass, the church, the people of God, just keep loving each other. Now, some of you might be kind of the emotional, like to hug it out type person. I get that. But that's not exactly what I'm talking about. Love is not less than that, but it's certainly more than that. Because sometimes love is having the hard conversation. There are people in my life I know love me because they're willing to sit down with me and tell me things that I don't want to hear. And they're doing it out of love. Not because they have some vendetta against me and they're very vindictive and they just need to be right. When I'm having an argument with somebody and they're like, I just don't think I love you, I just want to argue with you, I'm just like, okay, we're wasting our time here because you're not actually after my best interest. You're just actually after, proving that you're right, or, getting your jollies after just yelling at somebody. I'm like, no. Because see, love enters into spaces, has difficult conversations, seeks the welfare of the person that you're talking to. It's patient, it's kind, it does not envy, it does not boast. I'm pulling these from 1 Corinthians 13. This is the love that we're called to as the church. This is what we're called to do. And so here's my encouragement to you this Friday. If you're a Christian, I would really, really, really encourage you to practice love. And we think of practicing love, it sounds like an oxymoron because we think of love as like an emotion feeling, and it can be. But love oftentimes is a choice. Love is a choice to engage and pursue. Love is a choice to seek the welfare and the betterment of the person you're called to love. Love is a decision to lay down your own life to help those who need. And so are you doing that? Because I believe, listen, if we as the church will consistently do this, we'll model this for the world. Truly, as Jesus said, by this all people will know that we are his disciples. So, I hope my conversation about Instagram, Snapchat, the uniqueness of the church was helpful this morning, and I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend.